Okay guys, we had a bit of an off day. Today I just took care of a bunch of little stuff, but we'll go ahead and shoot through the time lapse and you guys can check out what I got done today. So you guys probably just saw I actually got this whole enclosure finished. So this is the enclosure for the big male black dragon. So this will be where most of the breeding will be happening as far as the Salvatores go. We might add a couple more things in here, but honestly I like to keep like the areas open as much as possible, because when they start to breed and try to lock up, if you have a bunch of corners in here, it's really hard for the male to get into a good position. So that's pretty much it for this enclosure. We got the pond, obviously. There's driftwood in and out of the pond to help everybody get in and out of the pond, obviously. Then we have a basking area over there. We have a bunch of slate along the entire back wall. This is super rigid. I was climbing on this all day to do a bunch of work up here. There's vents in between all of these trusses, beams up there. And then I'm trying out this light. This is actually an LED grow light. So we're gonna try that out. It's really just for visible light. It's more of a blue spectrum, obviously for plant growth, but the monitor lizards, they don't technically need UV, but I like to mimic natural sunlight as much as possible. But we got all of the slate around all of the rivers in all of these enclosures. And then I got this enclosure, at least the bulk of stuff in here. I think the plan for this enclosure is to actually add, and maybe both of these enclosures, I want to add a shelf about here, about 4 feet from the roof, and then just build everything up to it. And then we can use the driftwood up top of that shelf to hit the basking spots in the areas that we want. You can see I added the basking lights up in there. But it's coming together. I mean, I'm slowly but surely running out of stuff because I've been collecting stuff for this project for probably 8 months now. And as well as when they did the excavation on my property, I kept a lot of the, like these were all fallen trees that were on my property that had to get taken out to put the building in. So I kept them all, and then we're using them to decorate the enclosure. So it's resourceful. And I've also saved a lot of other stuff along the way, as well as driftwood from my old enclosures. And then obviously all the driftwood that we got from Castles for Reptiles. We actually have a lot left. So I want to pile as much as I can into these enclosures. The only thing that sucks is Castles for Reptiles didn't really have a whole lot to choose from because they didn't go get more stuff before I got up there. So I was kind of stuck with just getting what they had, and what they had was a lot of shorter pieces. So if we add shelves, we can kind of crisscross back and forth with the driftwood and get up to the higher areas. But it kind of, I don't know. It kind of ruins it, I think. It kind of ruins the height effect that I wanted with the animals, because I wanted them to feel like they were high up. So I don't want to block any of their sight lines to the bottom of the cage, you know. Just like over there on the huge enclosure, when you're up in the basking area, you can see straight down to the floor, to the river. So I want to make sure that we don't block a lot of the sight lines. So I'm trying to keep a lot of the shelving towards the front of the enclosure. So when they're going catty corner towards the front, they still have a sight line all the way to the back. Because I want them to feel like the enclosures are really tall. I mean, that was the whole idea behind doing them this way, is to try to mimic how they would feel if they climbed a tree in the wild. So, which I would imagine, since they're an arboreal species, the higher up they can get, the more secure they'll feel. And then hopefully that will keep the females cycling. So just little stuff like that, but pretty cool. We're getting there. I'm gonna take a trip up to Fresno tomorrow and pick up the 2 big croc monitors, and then I'll do a video of me releasing them into the gigantic enclosure. And then I'm gonna have to get with, hopefully I can finish these enclosures up this weekend, and I can get with Dr. Jenkins at Avian and Exotics Animal Hospital down here in San Diego off Mission Gorge or Mission Valley area. And we can x-ray all of the animals that I have before I put them in the enclosure so I can pair them up. So pretty cool. We have a lot more stuff to do. I have 1 more week off of work, so it's gonna be a mad dash to the finish line to get all this stuff done. So pretty cool. Keep eating. Okay guys, I got the 2 big croc monitors back from Fresno, so we're gonna let them go in the big enclosure. We're gonna put some lizards in here for the first time. We'll see how they do. They're both 2 big males. I know one of them's for sure a male because we x-rayed him. The other one we haven't x-rayed yet, but I'm pretty sure it's a male as well. But we're gonna let them go in this big enclosure just for now, and then we'll get the other one x-rayed, and then we're actually gonna get all of them x-rayed. Hopefully maybe even tomorrow, and then we can get them all separated out and paired up. But we're gonna get them in here, so let's give it a shot, see how they like it. This big guy actually got out of his container in the back of my car on the drive home, which was not fun to say the least. He's not nice at all, and he ended up having to wrangle him back into the tub on the side of the freeway. So that wasn't awesome. Back up. Okay, all the tape's off. Hopefully he'll just want to go in here. Let's open this up. Sorry. Don't go that way. There you go. There you go, buddy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, buddy. You scared me.
There he is. Sorry.
Okay, that's one down. Now we'll grab the other one. Careful, buddy. There's a radio there right there. This guy is just as long, but he's a different locality.
Daddy,
Yeah.
is that croc wanted to get out of your car?
Not this one. This one stayed in the box. So this is a different locality, but he's just as long. This one is very high strung, to say the least. He's got a very active feeding response. But these are the two biggest crocs that I have. So let's get this guy out too now. At least this container has latches on it. The other one is a lot more sturdy, but it doesn't have latches. Sorry, buddy. Here. Don't want to take your chances with these guys. Go ahead. Go ahead. There you go, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. Look at how big and beautiful you are. There he goes, right up the giant tree. That's so awesome. See him, buddy? He went right up the tree.
Yeah, I see him.
So he's taking a climb all the way up the tree already. Look at that. All the way up the tree. We got this big guy down here still chilling on the rock. And this guy you can see up through the canopy. He's going all the way up the tree, up into the basking area. Look at that, straight up to the basking area, all the way to the top. That's so rad. Huh, buddy? You'll learn to climb. So we got this big guy down here. I know, you didn't have an awesome car ride. And it took a while to get here. But you can see they got their river. He's chilling underneath this other basking area, which is cool. He has a little bit of a nose rub from the car ride up. But he's doing good. And then obviously we got the other big guy. You can see him, he went straight up to the basking area, already using it. It's pretty awesome. Super cool. Well, we'll keep an eye on these guys over the next few days and make sure they settle in really well. And I'm also gonna grab DarkKnight and put him in his enclosure right now. And get him out of the little enclosures in the garage. He has completely destroyed his enclosure in there over the last few months. He's actually torn most of the floor out of it, as well as shattered the glass front windows and torn most of his electrical out. So I've had to band-aid that cage back together a lot over the last little while. So we'll get him into this enclosure. So I'll go ahead and go grab him. He is much, much heavier than the croc monitors, and I don't know exactly how I'm gonna grab him. I might just use the noose pole just because it's easier that way, and his neck is so damn big.
Daddy,
This is why it's easier to use the noose pole because when you got a wild caught black dragon this big, hey, I gotta get the pole off, yeah. There you go, buddy. It makes that cage look small. So that's what a big 7-foot black dragon looks like. He's actually missing about 8 inches of his tail, but he's a big boy. Go ahead, go swimming, buddy. Well, hopefully he likes his new cage and he doesn't break out in the first night, but pretty cool. See how he does and the Crocs do over the next few days, and that'll be it. Keep feeding.